Most of the villains in Naruto are somewhat reformed by the end of the series, and their evil-doing ways are long over. We can't help but wonder, if there was a fighting tournament, who would take the title as the most powerful villain? Naruto has plenty of dangerous and unique adversaries, but who is the most powerful? It's time to take a look at the top 5 villains. Number 5. Itachi Uchiha. Itachi is by far one of the most cunning ninjas of their clan. From a very young age, he possessed an immense amount of potential and skill and eventually led to where he got to develop and control his Sharingan that ultimately caused such distress back at the Hidden Leaf Village when he decided to annihilate his own clan with an exemption for his brother, Sasuke. He soon joined the Akatsuki, a group formed outside the system of hidden villages in an effort to pursue world peace, that is, according to their own accord. With his young prowess, Itachi went on great lengths to evolve, like mentioned before, his mastery over his Sharingan that was way ahead of his clan. Fire, water, wind, yin, and yang release were among Itachi's nature transformations. He had a natural knack for fire release as a Uchiha, having mastered the clan's great fireball technique as a child. Not to mention he also mastered the Mangekyo together with his unique Genjutsu that ultimately messed with an opponent's mind, literally getting them trapped into a realm of an illusion, which means torture for anyone getting caught in it. This skill of his is probably implausible to even beat it. The brilliance of Itachi in terms of his intellect and mentality is also a force to reckon with. He was only weakened by his sickness, but even with it he could have easily killed Sasuke in their fight. Number 4. Orochimaru. One of the first villains introduced in the series who was also once a part of the Hidden Leaf Village itself. He was even one of the legendary Saiyans trained under the third Hokage. He had a snake-like stature equipped topped off with that drive to destroy the village he grew up in. His quest to find greatness led him to many paths and became significantly more powerful. He even got to obtain immortality, which makes him with no doubt grueling to deal with. Not only that, but the extent of his hatred and betrayal for the once called home for him is much despised by most, thus a much villainous trait indeed. Orochimaru is a gifted man who is widely regarded as one of the greatest shinobi of all time. He became one of the Sannin after being one of the few people who could deal with Hanzo in his prime and his giant salamander abuse. At the same time, he stood out the most among his teammates in terms of raw ability, a true prodigy in the finest of his generation, recognized also by Hashirama Senju, the god of shinobi. All 5 basic nature transformations, as well as yin and yang release, are available to Orochimaru. He can produce a strong gust of wind with wind release and move underground with earth release. He could make mud-based copies in the anime. Orochimaru obtained access to White Zetsu's wood release, a simultaneous combination of soil and water, by taking over the body of a White Zetsu clone. Orochimaru has further refined Tobirama Senju's Kenjutsu and can execute the summoning, impure world reincarnation. He will inject special tags into the deceased, erasing their personalities and giving him full control of their behavior. Number 3. Obito Uchiha, or Tobi. Very much like his mentor, Obito possesses immense amount of power, speed, and highly developed skills. The way his body is built also pose as an advantage to him when engaged in a fight, as he has curative skills that grants him to regenerate disfigured parts. With that power, this ninja has some pretty immense tolerance to feeling pain. He is also an avid user of tools and weapons like melee weapons, kunais, shurikens, and the like, although he'll most likely choose to evade fights at first hand. Aside from his physique, his most distinctive advantage is his well-developed Sharingan. This inheritable trait provides various abilities, one of which is to sharply copy the technique of an opponent. Another form of this Kekkei Genkai is the Mangekyo Sharingan, which is ultimately hard to possess. Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan helps him to do Kamui, a more versatile space-time ninjutsu than Minato's. Kamui acts as a portal to another dimensional space, between which he can freely transfer any or portions of his body. Obito gains 2 distinct powers as a result of this, teleportation and intangibility. He is thought to have died during the Third Shinobi World War, and the Sharingan he gave to his teammate Kakashi Ataki is his only living legacy. In reality, Madara Uchiha saved Obito's life and trained him, but the events of the war disillusioned Obito with reality, and he inherited Madara's plan to create an ideal universe. After Nagato died, Obito removed the Rinnegan from his body and inserted it in his left eye socket. Obito could call the demonic statue of the outer path, create chakra chains to restrain targets, and use the samsara of heavenly life technique, but he was only once seen using skills from the outer path. He was also capable of performing all of the 6 paths techniques with the Rinnegan. Number 2. Madara Uchiha. Madara was the Uchiha clan's legendary head. With his childhood friend and rival, Hashirama Senju, he created the Hidden Leaf Village with the aim of ushering in a new age of peace. When they couldn't compromise on how to make peace, they struggled for possession of the village, which resulted in Madara's death. Madara, on the other hand, rewrote his own death and went into exile to carry out his own schemes. He entrusted his information and intentions to Obito Uchiha shortly before his death because he was unable to complete it during his normal life. Even when he was still alive, Madara Uchiha was quite formidable and robust. The fact that he was undead gave him unlimited supply of chakra and even regenerative abilities, and that probably makes him practically invincible. Of course, as an Uchiha he obtains the Sharingan like the Mangekyo and at most knows how to wield this certain ability. Not only that, but later on he was able to obtain the other 3 greatest dojutsu, which is the Rinnegan, allowing him to have control over the various elements, namely fire, water, earth, wind and lightning. Since obtaining the eternal Mangekyo, Sharingan, Madara was able to stabilize Susanoo into its complete body shape, transforming it into a Tengu with almost impenetrable outer armor. A second set of weapons possessed a sheath katana that could sever mountains with the shockwaves alone. Its power, he said, was comparable to that of the tailed beasts. Madara was unable to use the full potential of his Rinnegan's powers when in the impure world reincarnation. He could summon and manipulate the demonic statue of the outer path, seal the 10 tails within himself, and create a corporeal unseen shadow to assist him in combat after being resurrected and receiving one of his actual eyes. Madara had quickly acquired full dominance of the beast after sealing the 10 tails into his body, and was heavier than when it was first resurrected due to having more of the 8 tails chakra sealed in it, contributing to his strength being noticed to feel stronger than Obito's, which only had a portion of the 8 and 9 tails chakra sealed in it. Madara could fly in this manner, and his physical skills were improved, allowing him to adapt quickly to the Flying Thunder God technique and Kamui, as well as to survive the Night Guy, though narrowly. Madara has so many techniques, but his strongest was the Infinite Tsukuyomi, which can trap everyone in Genjutsu. 3 out of the 5 listed here are Uchiha, so it goes without a doubt that the clan is one of the most powerful shinobis that lived. Number 1. Kaguya Otsutsuki. It goes without a doubt that Kaguya is by far the strongest villain in the series for the reason that she is not just some mere mortal but an alien-turned deity, which probably speaks for itself already. Power-wise, Kaguya is in possession of various enigmatic capabilities. She can bewitch enemies without necessarily touching them, putting them to either fall asleep, hypnotize, or mess with the cabin of their memories. Now these initial powers evolved immensely, and now this goddess can strike within a sweeping range. Not only that, but she also has both the Sharingan and Byakugan, abilities that are advantageous on their own but of course becomes more reliable and trickier to deal with when faced with both. Kaguya acquired unprecedented chakra reserves and power after consuming the God Tree's fruit, which were noted by both Naruto and Sasuke to be greater than Madara's as the 10 Tails Jinchuriki. In the anime, a simple release of her chakra could send huge shockwaves pinning Himura. She can absorb whatever technique she comes across since she was the first human to actually use chakra. Kaguya has a variety of unique powers, some of which predate those shown in the series and are much more lethal. Kaguya will use the 80 Gods vacuum attack to summon massive chakra fists to attack the target, which are strong enough to overpower a Jinchuriki's chakra arms and easily kill a complete body, Susanoo. This strategy can also be used to defend yourself. Kaguya uses the Byakugan in both eyes, giving her a close 360 degrees field of X-ray vision and the ability to see the chakra pathway system, with the exception of a minor blind spot at the upper thoracic vertebrae. Kaguya uses her Rinne Sharingan on her forehead as a third eye, which is red in color and features many concentric circles and 9 tomo. Kaguya will use the God Tree's roots to encase those trapped in her Infinite Tsukuyomi, turning the majority of the population into white Zetsu by gradually stripping them of their individuality, characteristics, and distinguishing features. By rapidly consuming the chakra of anyone linked to the God Tree, Kaguya will become stronger. If you think Hashirama was the god of shinobi, you have never seen the true power of Kaguya Otsutsuki. What do you think? Who do you think Naruto's most powerful villain is? Sound off in the comments.